Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Total Biscuit. Welcome to the IronSquid. What a wonderful name for a tournament. I'm joined here once again by the masterful Mr. D. Apollo.
Hello, Total Biscuit. How you doing?
I'm feeling absolutely fantastic. How about yourself?
I'm really good. Actually warming up in Sweden. It's getting a bit warmer now.
Yeah, I was in Sweden quite recently, and it was a little chilly, I've got to say. It was quite slushy as well. It wasn't a particularly pleasant experience. Thankfully, this tournament is online, so the weather is kind of irrelevant. You know, we've got no lag, there's no wind on the nets or anything like that, so we should have a nice, smooth journey through this tournament.
Absolutely, and what a tournament it is, basically. This is amazing.
Yeah, oh, good God. I was so shocked. I mean, I saw the lineup initially and I thought, this is a really good lineup. And then finally, they came to us a couple of days before they told us what it was going to be. And that is, of course, FnaticRCToD, and I hope I got the pronunciation correct there. Our French comrades in arms who have organized this entire event. And they said, you know who we've also got? These guys. Like, are you serious? Wow, what a lineup.
I know, when they told me that initially, I was like, yeah, all right, let's see how the tournament's going to go. You know, speak to me in a couple of months. And then it's like, no, guys, these are confirmed. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, you can talk to me.
Yeah, because it's always the case, isn't it, that we hear, oh, we want to get Nestea and we want to get Boxer, and the Koreans just have this tendency of pulling out of things, whether to be a miscommunication or just because they don't like the way the tournament's gone. Getting some of these high-level Koreans, and by high, I mean high level. We're talking MMA. We're talking, of course, Nestea. This is some scary stuff, and of course, getting the legend of Boxer into a foreign tournament and an online tournament. That's incredibly difficult to do, so big props to the organizers for managing to pull that one off.
Yeah, the quality of players is second to none. This is the best of the best in StarCraft 2 by all means.
And I'm looking forward to broadcasting this entire thing. We will be a part of this IronSquid show that's going to go out twice per week. We are, of course, the English version. There is a version en français as well, if you wish to listen to that version with the amazing FnaticRCToD. You know, those guys, I've listened to them before, and they remind me of what people used to say about Kaldor in the early days. They'd listen to Kaldor casting in German, and they wouldn't care. They wouldn't understand a word he was saying, aside from the odd StarCraft phrase, but they loved the passion, and those guys are just like that.
They are so energetic. They're also really amazing guys. We met them before in Paris as well, and we went to a show too, O Gaming, if I remember correctly, and they really did bring the electricity within the arena.
Man.
So the overall finals for this, when it does nail down to the final four, is just going to be such a crazy experience for anyone involved.
I have never seen anything like it when I went to that O Gaming event. Seriously, you had about 1,000 French people in this fantastic venue, and they were so hyped. It was like a rock concert. It wasn't like an esports event, and I've never seen anything like that before. They were the loudest crowd as well. They were so much louder than any other event that we've been to, and we've been to events that had larger crowds than that, so it's pretty scary. Now, we want to focus, of course, on the Group A, which is what you're going to be seeing in the next few shows. These shows are going to go out twice a week, Wednesday and Sunday. There's a European version at 9 p.m. Central European Time. That's 8 p.m. in the British Isles. And there's also a rebroadcast for the Americans at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's on Wednesday and Sunday. Remember, of course, to check the front page of Team Liquid and the calendar to make sure that you don't miss those streams. And the website, IronSquid.tv, for all of the information you could possibly need on this tournament. Now, we're going to do a brief rundown of all the groups, and then we're going to focus on the group that we're going to be seeing in the next few shows, which is, of course, Group A. So, Apollo, kick us off.
Alright, so in Group A, we have, I mean, there's legends all over the place, so I'm just going to get this down. So Group A, Puma, Ret, Boxer, Todd, and MarineKing. That's a fantastic group. And looking over to Group B, MC, Idra, Symbol, Thorzane, and MVP, just alone in those two groups, could stack any tournament, any location easily.
It's terrifying, isn't it? You could just put those guys in a tournament, have them beat the crap out of each other in best of sevens, and people would pay money, good money, to see something of that quality. But the scary thing is, every other group is as good, if not better.
Absolutely. I'm just looking at Group C now, and to be honest, any two players from any group could make any international finals, and that's the grand finals. And Group C, Live, Mana, Jack G, Stefano, and MMA, another fantastic group with quality all over. And finally, Group D, Lenok, Nurtio, Nestea, Hazuobs, and Alive. Jesus.
Oh, wow. That is the Zerg axis of evil right there. Lenok, Nurture, Nest T. Good God, you've got the scary as hell MLG winner up-and-comer. You've got the veteran god of Zerg, Nest T. And then you've got Nurture, who is easily in the top 3 European and indeed foreign Zerg in the world at the moment, as far as I am concerned, in my personal opinion. He's good, and you know what? I kind of feel a little bit sorry for Hazelobs and Alive in that group, just because those Zerg are going to be terrifying, but both of those guys are more than capable of holding their own.
Yeah, they really are, and I'm just looking at the race. They're splitting across all groups now, and it's 4 Protoss players, so the Protoss players, man, they got to do a lot in this tournament. 8 Terran players and 8 Zerg players. So there's a single Protoss in each group, and they are going up against it, man. Protoss are going to have a hard time in this tournament, but they do have some awesome representatives within FnaticToD, within OGS MC, or not really OGS, SK MC, sorry, and then Mana and Hazuob. So really good players, but it's going to be difficult, but it still can be anybody's game. Anybody could win and advance through their groups.
No doubt about that. There's no slouches on the Protoss side of things. Now, let's focus on Group A, because that's what you're going to be seeing for the next few weeks. The format of these broadcasts will be, we're just going to get all of Group A done, then all of Group B and C and D. So you're going to be pretty much sticking with 5 players for a few shows, and you're going to get to know an awful lot about their playstyles, because they're going to go up against each other, and there's going to be a lot of great best-of-3s for you to see. The first thing I'm going to ask, Apollo, can you come up with a prediction for this group?
Oh, no. Usually in a lot of tournaments, I'm quite proud about predicting results, but it's just way, way, way too difficult. Anybody could win. I mean, first of all, you have the perfect Terran, you know, Puma, and then Ret, the king of drones. The Emperor himself, SlayerSBoxer, FnaticToD, who's been on a rise since he's joined the scene and is becoming such a well-known Protoss player. And then you have MarineKingPrime. I don't even know where to start to predict to people to advance here.
Yeah, I don't either, honestly. Marine King is a bit of an enigma, really, because he's got the ability to smash pretty much anybody, and then sometimes odd things do happen to him. Like, Marine King, I think, is perhaps one of the least consistent in that group, but one could also say that Puma lately has not been doing as well as you would expect, having won, of course, NASL Season 2, and this big rivalry that we saw between him and Hero. He fell into a little bit of a slump, but the thing is, that's happening to an awful lot of StarCraft 2 players, one way or the other. The game still isn't properly figured out yet, and someone that's on a meteoric rise can ever so easily fall, and then, of course, pick themselves up again.
Absolutely, and every single player, not even both players, every single player going into this will look at it and be like, oh man, I've got to work hard for this. And I'm sure that every single player knows who they're playing up against. It's very similar to the GSL, where this is the player you're playing this week, and they will practice for this, because a lot of money's on the line, a lot of pride is on the line, and everybody will want to say, even for their own personal resume, I advanced through Group A, and that's going to be a difficult feat.
Yeah, and also we should talk about the prize pool. So the way that this is going to work is you've got 4 groups of 5 players. This is all going to be played online, the best-of-3 format. Then, of course, top 2 from the group advance to play the round of 8, also online. Then the round of 4 is going to be played offline as a final in Paris, and the top 4 get paid. This is a massive, massive prize pool of $25,000. Incredible prize pool for a startup tournament. The first place gets half of that, $12,500. That is not to be sniffed at. No way.
Yeah, and it's a cruel format, man. Every single player going into this is going to put their heart into it. But, you know, there's so many hurdles you have to jump over. Yep. I mean, getting through the group stage is a feat in itself, but you're not guaranteed money yet. Then you have to go into the bracket where the quarterfinals will be played out, and you have to get a win there as well. And that is when you will win yourself into that money. And it's going to be difficult. I mean, that's the word of stress. This tournament is most definitely difficult.
Yeah, man. It's the best lineup we've seen in a foreign tournament, as far as I'm concerned, in a very, very long time. It is certainly comparable, or indeed in many cases superior, to the cream of the crop, the top-tier foreign tournaments, the top-tier LAN tournaments we see across Europe and the US. Basically, this tournament kicks ass, and we are going to see some of that very, very shortly, because we are going to be kicking off with the first set of games from IronSquid, and it's certainly no slouch to start us off. We can start off the way that we mean to go on with Ret versus Puma. Ret versus Puma, man. So good. What do you think?
It's the King of Drones versus, as I said earlier, the Perfect Terran. When both of these are in form, they are respectively one of the best of their races in the world, by far. So it's going to be a clash of fantastic players. And as you said, this is how we're going to start the tournament. And it's only going to get better. It's going to go on like this. There's no sloppy games. I'm sure we'll hardly find a sloppy game out of any of the groups. But not only after Ret and Puma, two fantastic players in a fantastic series, the second game we're going to be doing this evening, Boxer versus Todd. Wow.
There is no bad matchup in this tournament as far as I'm concerned. Not a single one. Boxer versus Todd is going to be absolutely intriguing. Think about it. The Emperor, the veteran Terran, all the way back from his amazing bourgeois status in StarCraft 1 Brood War. Of course, a big figurehead, the figurehead of the Team Slayers. Versus Todd, lesser known, but on this amazing rise. One of the few foreigners who seems to be really thriving at the moment in Korea.
Absolutely. Todd's he's just there. Nobody knows he's really there practicing. A few people follow his progress. But every day that people aren't noticing and they do their regular 9 to 5 work, he is slamming in 12 hours a day. He's practicing every single day and he's trying and striving to be better. He's been in Korea for quite a while now and every single day he becomes stronger. So I'm very excited for his 2012 and what a better start than to open up in the IronSquid. I mean, what a fantastic start for Todd, and I'm sure that he's going to do well, representing, as I said, just a quarter of the Protoss players here.
Not to mention that, this being a French tournament, we could start off with a French player. Will he be able to overcome the terrifying might and experience of Boxer? We shall find out after our first set of matches, which will, of course, be Puma versus Ret. I'm looking forward to this one, no question about it. So, without further ado, let's kick it off. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the IronSquid group stage. This is our first Group A matchup, and it's my pleasure to bring you Team Liquid's Ret. He is in the blue trunks, and he is playing Zerg. To the east of this, the Belshire Beach Winter Edition versus his opponent. It is Evil Genius's Puma. He is in the red trunks, and he is playing Terran to the west.
The twisted Frankenstein monster Puma, made in the depth of South Korea, trained with the one and only Flash in StarCraft 1, trained day in, day out. Even though he lost every single game, that experience alone put him so far ahead of the curve as soon as he joined StarCraft 2. And that is something to be proud of. I would be proud of that. Maybe he wouldn't be, being I was Flash's, yeah. But at the same time, he's had so much solid practice, man. He had so much training within StarCraft 1 and it easily transferred over into StarCraft 2. And Ret, likewise, man, Ret was one of the best, if not the best, foreigner in StarCraft 1 as well. Both these players, absolutely fantastic.
No question about that. Puma, as you said, forged in the depths of hell itself as far as I am concerned. And you know what? He's not that spiteful and hateful. You'd think that after being beaten into the floor hundreds of times by Flash, you'd probably turn out to be bitter and twisted. But you know what? He's a cool guy. I like Puma. I've met him many times before, and he is awesome. And certainly not a bad player by any stretch. The NASL Season 2 champion, the DreamHack finalist, where he lost only to a single map against the eventual champion, Liquid Hero. What a great rivalry between those two. But now, of course, he has to face off against Hero's teammate, Rhett, who is also incredibly capable and has taken plenty of games from Hero in the past.
Absolutely, and we'll see how this goes down. I mean, in previous history against each other, Puma won the majority of games, and these were played in America, MLG and other events similar. And that's a scary thought, considering that Rhett is so good, against Terran. And Puma already starting off with a, looks like a Reaper expand here. And I've seen a lot of this play recently with Puma. Usually it's a bit of a safe expansion, but more importantly, it enables some deadly transitions that could involve Blue Flame. But we'll see what he decides to do here. Is Rhett just very, very standard, hatchery into extractor, then spawn impulse, so you can get speed straight away. Just that safe option of having that speed for his Zerglings.
Yeah, and you know what? He's going to end up needing that. So the first Reaper's on its way out. Sometimes you see more than one. More often than not, this is for harassment as well as map security, map awareness, and just locking the map down. As you can see, we've got the barracks being pulled directly off of that tech lab, and a little bit of indecision by Puma as to where he positions it straight into that factory. So, are you thinking Blue Flame at this point?
Yeah, really, really could be Blue Flame into a mix of Marauders potentially, because the distances between Natural here are really, really short. So we'll see what he does decide with that. Meanwhile, the Reaper does enter the base, and the Queen isn't out yet, and he's gonna get a few drone kills.
It's always nice to get a few drone kills with a Reaper. It's pretty much paid for itself, even if it is using that initial 50 gas. He gets 2 kills. Not bad little start. And, of course, he now knows exactly what his opponent's doing, what his opponent's timings were in his openings. It's great for gathering info. I just view the Reaper as a pocket knife. It really is just useful to have around.
It really is. And, you can take the Zelnaga towers now and really prevent Rhett from seeing anything until that speed has been finished. But let's have a look at the factory. It's actually been switched over now with the barracks, which is a little bit interesting. I mean, depending on what he's seen early on, could change a lot here. Seeing that the gas had been early on, had been finished basically, and speed basically finished as well. So he goes over into Reactor Hellions now and just has the barracks with the tech lab. So I suppose he can start Stim relatively early. And he's going to want to try and take map control, deny creep tumors, and a really, really fast third base comes out from Puma behind this. So taking a bit of a gamble economically, but as long as he holds Rhett down with Hellions, then it should be fine.
Yep, that's assuming that he can hold them down. The Reaper has now been spotted and is going to be torn to pieces. And, oh, wow, he manages to save it. So much for that prediction. The Hellions come in at just the right time, and the Reaper gets away with barely any health to spare. One more little scratch, and he would have gone down. 8 more Lings being produced by Rhett, and this is an awkward spot for Rhett to be all the time, because he loves the drone. He is, however, not suicidal. He knows that there are Red Flame Hellions on the way. He's got to do something about them. And once again, we've seen a swap over by Puma, who is playing musical chairs right here with his 2 buildings.
Yeah, and Rhett saw the last version of that game where the factory was on the reactors, so he's a little bit confused. But more importantly, Rhett saw that very early third base. And he's gone for this pretty fast layer and taken all gases, so he's gone 2 base and teching straight up into layer. Whether he'll try Mutalisk or not, we'll see. That is usually his choice, and Ling's getting roasted down on the south side of the map. But if he goes layer, I'm a little bit, and if he goes for a Spire as well, I'm a little bit scared for him because of that early third base. The economy of Puma is going to be really, really strong. He's just going to have a lot more units out than Rhett would usually be expecting to meet.
Of course, the flip side of that is that if he does go Muta and he's able to start stretching the defenses of Puma across 3 bases, then he may be able to inflict some significant damage. I've got to say, Puma is just so smart. I saw him go around with these Hellions, and he knew the direction. He knows this map back to front, that those Lings actually snuck around. He moved to intercept, and he wanted to kill as many as he could. It doesn't even matter if it's just Lings. It is something. Get the kills, do the damage. Every little bit makes a difference. And there we see that spike Whoa, triple evolution chamber coming up. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of a mistake, but we'll see. I mean, it's definitely, well, what am I about? We'll see. It's definitely a mistake there from Rhett, and he does cancel one, as you can see now, and rebuilds it with a Baneling Nest, so that makes sense. I'm a little bit worried about the lack of activity from these Hellions. They really haven't been proactive enough to deny the creep tumors. They're actually really, you know, stretching out on this right-hand side of the map, which is a little bit worrisome for Puma.
Yeah, he has let it go there, and I'm trying to think if there's even a legit reason for it. Is Puma worried about run-bys? He certainly shouldn't be. He's walled off there, and he hasn't done anything with this orbital command other than build SCVs and continue to build mules, which is also viable. We've got Red checking for a third up to the top, doesn't find it, and here's this big roll-off by Puma, perhaps even deliberately letting his opponent think that it's safe to get that third base, and then now moving into siege it.
And he's going to be able to go to the third base in an awesome position with the tanks right behind that cliff. Really hard for Rhett to engage into, and he has to cancel the hatch. And you're already on 2 base. It's 10 minutes 30 into the game. This is horrible for Rhett to have to cancel that, and he tries a little run by with Lings, but Puma walls himself in with supply depots and that bunker, and this is a really, really nice move from Puma. And even if he loses everything here, it's still not horrible because he's going to take units down with him.
Yeah, we've got this big Zergling flank around the side, trying to catch his opponent out of position. Lots of scans going down to eliminate as much creep as possible. An interesting tactic by Puma, almost allowing his opponent to spread the creep and giving him a false sense of security. Here come the Lings. Banelings in from the side as well. Undeployed tanks. The Banelings will detonate. Here comes the split from Puma. He's completely surrounded. And I love the fact that Rhett saved his Banelings there. He didn't even bother detonating because he knew he could get away with it.
Yeah, and he knows he's a base down. He should have had that third base up and running, so his gas is a little bit stunted to what it should have been. Therefore, he cannot afford to lose 4 Bailings. This is the IronSquid. Those 4 Bailings, even though 25 gas each, that is everything at this high-level game.
Yes, it really is. It just doesn't seem like much, but it really does matter. Mutalisks now on the field as Rhett starts to plan his counterattack. However, there are 20 Marines and 4 being produced at a time. Armory is coming up. Another factory, as well as +1 weapon and +1 armor just completing. And honestly, Rhett doesn't really have enough mutas to overwhelm a force of that magnitude by any stretch of the imagination.
And I really don't think that Puma should look for a push. You know, he's succeeded so much in just killing that third base off, and Rhett was forced into building units rather than drones because he can't drone to anywhere. There's no base. So if Puma pushes out, he'll walk into a big amount of units, and they're well upgraded too, to be honest. So he just needs to sit back, hold a really tight position in the center of the map, and just take that third base and build a decent-sized army. Rhett, on the other hand, is double expanding because he knows he's behind. He knows that the economy is strongly in favor of Puma.
Yeah, of course, and why would it not be? Rhett on 59 drones? What is this? Usually on 59 drones on 1 base. But at this point in time, he knows his opponent must have more than that. Honestly, or at least equal. And of course, you never want to be equal with a Terran. With the addition of mules, being equal is horrible. As we say that, 3 mules fall down on this third base, now finally deployed here by Puma. And he's in a very good defensive position. So, the question is, what does Rhett do from here?
Well, Rhett needs to look for a big timing. Well, basically, there's 2 things Rhett needs to do. He needs to hope Puma walks into his army and Rhett kills it. That's a pretty good thing to do. Or he needs to start looking for counterattacks or run-bys with mutas or into harassment areas. And unfortunately, he misses 2 medivacs in the top right with the mutas, and he tries to go in, but there's really no angles for these mutas to go in. And it's very, very difficult from Rhett. Even though he's got a bit of a supply lead, it's still difficult.
Yeah, there's no question. We've got this, what looked like a double medevac drop. It was in fact a single one right there. Perhaps a little slip up there by Puma. 9 more mutas on the way to try and stop this from going down. In the meantime, we've got yet more harassment down onto the 4th base. Gets easily cleaned up there by Rhett, and pulling the forces out of position so that this drop can perhaps end up being more effective. There is nothing in the main to stop this aside from a single queen, which is of course nowhere near enough. And there he goes, straight for the mineral line. Is going to focus down on the spawning pool. A nice choice right there, considering the Ling heavy heavy style of his opponent. Great positioning as well. Rhett can't kill those Marines in time. The spawning pool goes down, and that is going to delay his opponent significantly, especially when there's this strike over to the side. The Banelings crash into the tank line. Quick cleanup there by Rhett, and in fact, he overwhelms that strike on the 4th with no problems whatsoever.
Yeah, Puma was not expecting Rhett to be ready to take a fight there. He thought he dragged him to the main base, and he tried to get a good position on that 4th base and was caught off guard. And that is what Rhett needed in this game to come back. Even if the drop killed the spawning pool, that was what he needed, was to kill a push from Puma, and Rhett is most definitely back into the game now as he launches Mulus into the main base, and there is nothing here, man. These Mulus, they're upgraded with +1, they're sniping turrets down, and wow, Puma is so out of position.
Oh, he's getting absolutely brutalized. He's got 30 Marines, but they need to be back at the base, and he's not doing it. Puma's rolling forward at the moment. He's allowing his base to be destroyed by the Mutalisks in the center, and now Rhett comes in with the punishment. We've got Lings all over the tank line, immediately annihilated. The Marines pull back to a defensive position, but more damage is being done, and these Mutas are having an absolute field day.
Yeah, they've killed so many SCVs, supply depots, turrets, you name it, and it looks like there's another drop coming towards the right, but Puma realizes that if he drops that medivac full of units, he has nothing defending that front base, that 3rd base area, so he has to land and come back. But Rhett, all of a sudden, looking pretty weak in the game, has changed things around, and he's going for a killing blow.
Yeah, he is not messing about at all. He's on 72 drones, which is much more comfortable for Rhett. We've got a large number of Lings, Banelings, and Mutalisks, the classic style, the deadly style right here, supported by a very strong economy of Rhett. The 3rd base is falling to Muta firepower. Here comes Puma's counter push. He's got a single Thor at the back, +2/+2 Marines, but it doesn't matter because Rhett is already out of there. He has no intention of engaging up front. He has such a massive supply lead. 200 supply versus 140.
And Rhett has delayed his tech so much from going up to Hive. He's still not even at Hive at the 18-minute mark. It's incredibly late, but in return to that, he has well-upgraded Lings. He has a lot of Banelings being morphed in. Puma's going to swing around the right-hand side, does deny another base, but this army from Rhett is so strong and scary. And no matter what, even if Puma's in a defensive stance, he's still going to get knocked down, and he's going to have an almost impossible time defending this.
Oh, no drops for you, says Rhett. Shuts that one down immediately with finesse, and things are looking really grim. There was a drop earlier that did do significant damage to the drone count of Rhett at the 4th base, but that really doesn't seem to have concerned him all that much, because his Ling and Baneling army is huge. His Muta flock is at 27, even with the +1 as well, just to give him a little bit extra push. And here he comes again, swarming over, and you could barely see a damn thing under that Zerg cloud of death. So many units in general. Banelings, just a multitude, a cavalcade, a swarm of Banelings crashing down. Oh, wow. Any Terran player will be wincing right now. Everything is annihilated on the front line. The natural falls. GG, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, what a start from Rhett.
What an explosive game for game number 1 here in the IronSquid tournament. And Rhett not looking likely to take that game, but all of a sudden, when you crush a push from Terran, it can easily turn around. And Rhett really does pull that game around, and he takes that win. He takes that first game, which is so important. And not only in just the best of 3, but this is game 1 of the entire tournament.
What a great start for him. It's a massive confidence boost. That is not an easy group. There are no easy groups in this particular tournament, but Rhett is not rattled by that kind of stuff. Not at all. And this will really give him the boost. He's playing the Zerg the way that it's meant to be played. He realizes that Zerg is the reactionary race, and that Terran very much is that one race that if it loses a push big time, it is in a lot of trouble, because it cannot reinforce anywhere near as fast as the other 2 races. Rhett counter-attacks immediately after that, and has this massive window to do huge damage. And you know what? He did exactly that. Perfect play there by Rhett, and a wonderful comeback, considering that he was initially on the ropes against a very strong opponent.
Absolutely.
We're gonna go.
Oh, sorry.
Don't worry about it. I'm excited after that game, man. You know, we can just talk over each other. It doesn't matter. It's awesome. That is some great StarCraft. What an amazing way to kick this off. We will be back after this short commercial break with yet more action from Game 2 of this Group A show from IronSquid, LiquidRet versus Evil Genius's Puma. Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you had a good break, because we've got yet more IronSquid action coming for you. I bring you Team Liquid's Ret, currently up 1 game in this best of 3 series. He is in the blue trunks and he is playing Zerg to the east of this, the dual site. Versus his opponent, it is Evil Genius's Puma. He is in the red trunks and he is playing Terran to the west.
And as we mentioned earlier, Rhett has basically never taken a series off Puma before, so to win that first game and being 1 game away from winning his first series in an official tournament against Puma would be an incredible feat for Rhett, showing that time and practice will pay off, because Rhett has always been a player that is, if he practices, he will win games. And right now, he is in that practicing form for 2012 and is looking very, very strong.
Yes, he is. Rhett, a highly mechanical player, but I would say a little bit more flexible. He takes a few more risks than some other Zerg players who are very much reliant on their mechanics as opposed to any kind of creative play or just general reactionary play. Rhett is just this all-round Zerg player that I feel is one of the few that really plays Zerg the way it was envisioned. It is a big macro powerhouse. It is the swarm. It is reactionary, and he always plays on the razor's edge. He builds as many drones as he thinks he can get away with, and sometimes he's wrong. Sometimes he can't get away with that many drones, and we've seen him lose big games before. But in that previous game, Puma kind of unleashed the beast there by putting on early pressure, forcing Rhett to build less drones, and actually that didn't work out in Puma's favor.
And this map, I really do feel, is going to suit Puma more so than Rhett, simply because of it's very easy to wall in with supply depots around your natural as a Terran player, but the most scary thing is a push on 2 base towards a 3rd base of Zerg is so difficult to deal with, because that North Zelnaga tower, once controlled for Terran, enables so much freedom in movement for the Terran player to set up an amazing position. He can come from his natural area into the radius of the Zelnaga tower, then be at the Zelnaga tower, and then when the radius of the Zelnaga tower completes near Rhett's 3rd base, he's all happy and set up. It's a fantastic position to be in, but it looks like once again we are going to have a Reaper opening. Him really enjoying this opening compared to the majority of players that just straight open up Reactor Hellion.
I love it. I absolutely love it. It's a little bit classic, this whole Reaper expand. Not always used against Zerg, but every now and again. And it's a case of seeing it being used once again as the metagame shifts around. How long has Reactor Hellion been the standard opening against Zerg? Way too long. And Puma's just changing things around a little bit. He can still go Reactor Hellion, but he's also got the option with that tech lab of going, as you mentioned before, Blue Flame if he thinks that it's beneficial.
Yeah, it really does depend on what he scouts. And this time around, we do see Rhett with the 100 gas, but a little bit later than before. And the Reaper's going to go in, and it achieves the same goal as Hellions would do. It kills slow Zerglings there, but at the same time, he can get a faster expansion out while he goes for this Reaper in. It does go in, he's going to get a couple of kills, and as long as it stays out of the radius of the Queen, he may even be able to find early drone kills.
Yeah, unfortunately, he hasn't been able to do that right now because Rhett is being very cautious with his Queen's positioning, deliberately trying to block things off. Getting kills on this natural could be a bit tricky, but you know what? He goes in there. Slightly slow reaction there by Rhett. Oh, now that is nice. Rhett goes in and dives straight into that extractor to save that wounded drone, and that Reaper, oh, is so close to death, but once again, he sneaks out of there. But I say slow reactions, but my god, that was quick thinking there from Rhett to save that one drone. What a great little move.
And even if Puma did force more Lings to come out from Rhett, he also can fall back on double Hellions now coming out at a later time, and he's going to be able to snap map control back if Lings did have or had have popped out. So very good build from Puma. I really do like it, and straight into that rapid 3rd base again. Though it looks like Rhett has another key overlord. This is one of the things that highlights Rhett as a fantastic Zerg player. He has overlords in the most amazing positions, and he's gonna, by the looks of it, get that scout of that 3rd base.
Oh, he's going straight for it, and that's gonna give him a pretty good idea. Of course, we don't know if he watched the previous replay. Perhaps he did, and if he has, he'll have identified that this build from Puma is identical to the first one. This is gonna give him some good clues going in to the next few minutes.
Indeed it will, and we'll see how Puma plays out, if he'll play the same. I really do feel if he plays a similar style to before, without that little mistake, that little risk he took to stretch 1 or 2 meters further with his army to get position on the 4th base, but walked into Rhett's army. That was unfortunate. So we'll see what he does here, and I'm sure he's going to have a good time on this map, and we'll see what kind of pushes do come out of him. Meanwhile, 4 Hellions being annoying, but they do allow the creep to get spread out again, and I feel that he needs, or should have been, or could have been, a little bit more proactive in stopping that again. There's no Lings out. There's no units, just queens. He could have easily stopped these creep tumors.
Yeah, I'm intrigued, honestly, because on the first map, one could have argued that perhaps he tries to lure his opponent to a 3rd and then strike, giving his opponent a false sense of security. But you can see he's actively denying creep tumors now, so that's clearly not what he was aiming to do. He is denying creep, of course, to the 3rd base, the sensible 3rd base, which is to the top there. But it's an awkward map one way or the other, because if you take a 3rd all the way down the bottom, it's quite the dash to get there, and spreading creep can take a while, although Rhett is aggressively doing so because he knows that the spread to the west of the natural is not happening. In the meantime, he's also got the lair. He's taken all 4 gas, so Mutalisk is certainly a possibility here. And in the meantime, Blue Flame is actually on the way for Puma.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Puma's actually now getting it due to the style he saw in the previous game. Rhett is now, once again, going double evolution chamber, going for a lot of Lings, because Lings alone actually, surprisingly, beat Pure or Marine Tank very easily once upgraded. So Blue Flame is just a reaction right now to the way Rhett's playing, and I really do love it from Puma, adapting within a best of 3. And that is a superb thing to see, not just playing robotic and making the same mistake again and going down in the same way. And at the same time, he's also upgrading from double evolution chambers again. So his Marines will not even be that weak against the upgraded Lings, and especially with Blue Flames, ooh, it's going to be deadly. So really good move here by Puma, and he's going to be actively scouting for when Rhett takes that 3rd base, which is going to be on a similar time because he is going up to Spire once again.
Puma with a little bit of a slip up right there. He actually got significantly supply blocked, and he's got units queued up on most of his production facilities, and they ended up getting stuck for quite some time. Puma's also building a Viking, which is a great choice. I love anyone who brings at least one Viking into a TvZ, in fact, simply because it allows it to shut down so many overlords for free. It's a great investment. And then if you're going for a tank push, you do have this additional range there. And Blue Flame should be revealed very shortly, as Puma has now completed it. And there we go. The Blue Flame is being revealed, annihilating those Lings. And I have to wonder, what does Rhett decide to do at this stage? He can't really go for the same style, as effectively Blue Flame will be very dangerous against the Ling Baneling, even backed up by Mutalisk.
He doesn't really have an option to do anything else. He just has to rely a lot more on Mutalisk and them really carrying him through the game, because the Marine count is a little bit lower than it was previously, and as long as he can get damage in certain areas in the main base, there's no turrets yet from Puma, but I'm sure he's a player that will hit that timing before the Mutas come in. I'd be very surprised if he didn't build any before they did come in. But he is going to establish this 3rd base now and will transfer shortly. And it is an okay base to defend, because the walking distance or crawling distance for tanks between natural and 3rd is not that far. So he should be able to cover that fine. I'm still a bit worried that there's no turrets in production yet. 1-1 is finishing, though they will help against Mutas, but without turrets, every mineral line is naked.
Ah, yes it is. And if there's anything that Rhett loves, it's juicy naked mineral lines. He goes straight for the mules. Great idea to snipe those off. Much more valuable, potentially, than taking down an SCV. Doesn't have all that mutas up just yet, and that has spurred turrets right here from Puma. So still, even with turrets, there are plenty of places to get in. There are supply depots that can be sniped off, potentially add-ons that can be sniped off here at the front. In fact, there are many areas. Puma's base is quite spread out, and for a skilled Zerg player, there are all sorts of opportunities.
And the Viking at the top left did scout the north base, the 12 o'clock base, as an expansion coming down, but he doesn't know about that right-hand side base yet. Looking through Puma's vision, he has no idea that the north base is actually Rhett's 4th, not 3rd. So Puma has to do something about that and just realize what's going on. Otherwise, he will just get overwhelmed as the game goes on. Rhett, once again, working on those 2 to upgrade. Going to be very, very good at fighting, depending on how many Hellions actually survive. Hellions are going to be key in holding behind the army and then melting the Lings as they surround. But we'll see how this goes. Not that much harassment coming out from Rhett so far, and I'm surprised.
Yeah, Rhett seems to be playing a little bit overly cautious. He's still building units. He's not actually building rounds of drones. He stayed on 76, which even for Rhett is quite low, but otherwise it is fine for the number of bases on. Now a big number of banelings coming in from Rhett. So the question is, what does he try and do? If he goes straight into that siege tank line, he could actually have some success. There aren't all that many.
Ooh, Hellions do make their way to this right-hand side and unexpectedly finds a base and finds an entire mineral line of drones, and oh, these Hellions happy.
Oh, what a kind and delicious gift is what Puma's saying right now. Lings come in and a good surround there to nail down several of them. Can he kill them all? Yes, he can. So that was nicely done there by Rhett. You might think, oh, blue flame, but bear in mind, these guys are +2/+2, so they are not to be messed with.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you only get 7 drone kills there, and it could have been a lot higher. That's a pretty good defense from Rhett, but it looks like Rhett may be looking to try go into the main base now with these Mutalisks. They are hovering around looking for an angle, and there's a bit of an angle here. I mean, these Marines are good, they're upgraded, but not against that many Mutalisks.
No, absolutely not, and that might force Puma either to build more missile turrets, which of course means he has a smaller army, or to start pulling his forces back, which would leave him vulnerable to a Baneling bust straight through the natural law of the third here, and that creep is getting scarily close to that third.
And now we see Puma moving out on an anti-hive kind of timing, realizing that at 60 minutes is when the hive should usually be finishing. So he's pushing towards the right-hand side, and he also throws up that sensor tower to make sure that he knows of run-bys towards his natural area. Let's see what Puma can achieve now, because Rhett's army composition is pretty good. It's very strong against Marine tank, and we'll have to see. I mean, those are the Hellions. That was it. Those are the Hellions that were meant to help against Lings. They're gone. So these Lings are going to be very, very efficient.
Yes, absolutely. I would say, though, that Puma does have +2/+2, so he matches his opponent blow for blow in upgrades, and those Mutas are highly, highly unupgraded. He's only just started +1. Double +3s begin, as well as +2 weapon. So Puma is gaining the advantage in terms of upgrades, and if he gets into a stout and strong position, this could go very badly for Rhett.
And what is Rhett doing? Is he going to go to the natural here? He's thinking about it, and he is. He's going to go for the natural. He kills the supply depots, will try, but there's a Thor, there's Marines, and this is getting ready to be intercepted, but Banelings don't care about that and blow through.
Oh my god, the damage is massive. He even catches that large number of SCVs and runs over the natural, doing a massive damage. And I like the fact that he didn't decide to stick around. He gets in there, smashes his opponent, kills a bunch of workers, and then leaves.
Yeah, he does, and he keeps Puma away from that base on the right. Yeah, he got a few drone kills, but he didn't slow Rhett down at all. And Rhett is still not at Hive. He is just playing on Ling, Baneling, and Mutas. And when I say that, I mean a lot of Lings. He's currently at 200 Lings, Total Biscuit. Over
203 Lings. I don't think I've ever seen that many Zerglings in a pro-level game. This is getting ridiculous. 211 Zerglings. How do you stop that many? Well, these upgrades may help, and we're going to see some interesting play from Rhett, because he's going to start throwing some Infestors into the mix, and once again, he comes down to crash on this natural expansion, which is left completely undefended, and it's a swarm. You can barely see the Marines under a tide of Zerglings.
And the problem is, though, a direct fight. The Banelings are getting wasted a little bit, and Puma's going to be able to go in, kill everything, potentially, and then turn around with a humongous counterattack. Rhett has to prepare for that. Pathogen glands will help with that, but his entire production inside his main is going down.
Yeah, he is. In the meantime, there was a strike against the fourth, which did annihilate it completely. An attempted drop is easily fended off by Rhett. The remaining Lings are ripping through the main base, killing everything they can possibly get their hands on. Is it enough damage, I have to wonder? It has certainly harmed the production of Puma. He's going to lose yet another add-on here. We've got Tank stuck. He's lost the natural completely. But is it enough? One has to wonder. Will Puma be able to rally and strike back before Rhett can remax? Oh, wow. 67 Banelings are now on the field for Rhett. I don't even know if Puma can do anything against that number.
Yeah, 67 Banelings and 5 Infestors that will have enough to fungal growth. Another drop to the top left does pick off the hatchery, but that was, you know, the question I was asking, does Rhett have enough to get ready to fight the counterattack army? Not when it's sieged up, though. That's a little bit dangerous, so, but he will be able to go into the third base.
Oh, wow, here come the Banelings. So many, in fact, a multitude. But that was a great siege up. A lot of Banelings annihilated. Puma saves the majority of his ground forces. And now a flank comes in from Ret, doing some damage. Nice splitting there by Puma, saves a good number of them. But I have to point out something. The worker count of Puma is 15.
Yeah, 15, man. It's really, really low, but the army supply is 98 versus 44. Ret has to, and I stress, he has to land fungal growths on this army. He has to catch the Marines, and maybe he can clean up with a few lings after that. But if he doesn't land any fungal growths, then he won't be able to kill this army. It's going to be a very tense push out, which Puma has to go for. There's no way he can let Ret or leave him alone. Another drop towards that north base at the 12 as well. Just harassing, slowing Ret down, but here comes the death march from Puma. Will Ret hit these fungal growths? He has to. Yeah,
and he's already spent at least 3 of them on that drop. So that has reduced the number that he's got. He does have 13 infested, 6 Banelings, more Lings on the way. The longer Puma waits, the worse this is going to get. A lot of Overlords. Oh, nicely done. He picks off 2 Infestors immediately, as well as a bunch of Overlords. Not that that's really all that relevant, but those 2 Infestors were extremely vital. We're on 14 right now. He's got to hit, and he's got to hit well. If he screws this up, then Puma could come back from almost certain doom.
And Puma knows too, he's spreading out. There was a drop in the main base that got kind of cleaned up, but he wasted fungal growths again on that. So now Puma has to spread out. He has to split like Moses told a biscuit, because if he doesn't, then that sea is not going to part, and this fungal, well, these fungal growth, man, they're going to hurt. And a humongous counterattack coming from Ret, knowing that he's in danger.
Yeah, but unfortunately he's going to get annihilated very quickly, and Ret just good game at that point. And a surprising GG, I suppose, but when you think about it, even if his opponent had no workers left, Puma had an army that Ret simply could not kill. And a very unfortunate loss there, I feel, for him. We can even see, just in the freeze frame, a drop onto the natural. Plenty of harassment had been done into Ret's main base, and Puma able to survive, hang on by the skin of his teeth, and force Ret out of that game.
Yeah, I mean, he kept killing expansions everywhere. That was the key thing there from Puma, and he'd launched himself onto this north base now, and with tanks sieged up, there's probably no way that fungal growths can even get close to being landed. They'll all get picked off immediately, and then another drop, a failed counterattack, losing all of his Zerglings, basically meaning that the Infestors are now alone in this fight, and you can't really do that. And an awesome, awesome game from Puma there, holding on, surviving, but dear God, is it looking hard for Puma to play against Ret.
Yeah, it really is. Ret is not messing around in this series. Dual site, a map that Puma is incredibly comfortable on. Will he be able to take him out in the last map? I guess we're about to find out. A quick commercial break, ladies and gents, and when we come back, the conclusion of Ret versus Puma. Ladies and gentlemen, the final map of this best-of-3 series, and what an amazing series it's turned out to be to start this tournament. Couldn't have asked for anything better. It's my pleasure to bring you Team Liquid's Ret. He is in the blue trunks, and he is playing Zerg. To the northeast of this, the Cloud Kingdom. Versus his opponent, it is Evil Genius's Puma. He is in the red trunks playing Terran to the southwest. Cloud Kingdom, Apollo, what do you reckon for a Zerg?
It's going to be pretty good for Ret, I feel. It's a very aggressive map. We'll see what happens, though, because Puma, even though it is aggressive map for Zerg, Puma's a king of holding. He walls in very well with supply depots and is always prepared for counterattacks. That's the thing with Terran, is that the metagame is developing every single day. It's a beautiful thing to see, and Terran players are now just expecting counterattacks. They are prepared for it almost in every scenario. So we'll see what can happen here. It's going to be a very easy natural expansion for Puma to take, and then it'll be difficult to hold that third base, but we'll see.
Yeah, Cloud Kingdom. That is a map that was brought into the GSL and has now recently been brought into the Season 6 map pool, which is intriguing to say the least, and people have various opinions on it. It seems to be fairly balanced, but it really is the map for run-bys.
Yeah, it really is. There's so many little areas that he can go in and out and around from. The problem on this map, though, is Mutalisks are not that strong, because around, or the main base of Puma, it's basically tight. So if Mutas come from the south and enter the west side of Puma's base, they can't get out, really. They have to go all the way around. So we'll see if Rhett does decide to use Mutalist at all, or whether he'll stick for a very heavy, maybe even go for heavy Ling into Infestor style of play. But both of these guys will be wanting a very fast natural, as you can see, hatchery down in a gasless expansion so far for Puma, due to the ease of securing that natural area.
Yeah, absolutely. Get it up as quickly as you can. Don't even worry about the consequences. That's advice that I can say that I have taken in my life, and it's served me well. The natural will be up quite shortly for Puma, and the chance of him taking gas at this point is, unless he's completely forgotten about it, it's simply not going to happen. It's way past the time where that would occur.
Yeah, we'll see what he does, though. I mean, I've heard a few things and seen a few things. The map is very new, and it hasn't been that well developed on in terms of metagame, but mech also can be a nice option here. So we'll see if Puma grabs both gases at the same time, and that could be an option, and he does, actually. So we'll see if he just jumps straight into mech here. Because of the kind of ease for tank positions on the higher ground as well in the main base, can help defend the third base, potentially. So I wonder if he'll do that. I
would like to see it, honestly, I really would. He already has to differ from his build order that he used in the past 2 games, and while it served him fairly well in the second game, I think that switching things up completely at this point would be a wise move, and we shall see if it does the job. The question is, how does he switch it up? Does he, as you said, go for a mech style of play? I would like to see that from him regardless. And Rhett now, with his expansion up and running, the SCV Scout comes in and sees everything that it needs to. First factory now coming down for Puma right here. Is this going to be Reactor Hellion opening? And yes, it looks like it will be.
Yeah, it will be, and he could easily just turn this into Reactor Hellions, bit of pressuring the map, denying creep tumors, slowing down map vision, map control for Rhett, into Blue Flame. And, you know, I've said that almost every game, but Puma is very good at using those Blue Flame units. Well, actually, I say that, and I remember Jules' site, and it was actually pretty bad on the right-hand side, but...
No, never mind. We all make mistakes.
But Rhett going for an incredibly early layer here, and this is trademark of Rhett. I've seen this so many times where he'll just go straight to layer, even forget about taking the second, third, and fourth gas until actually later on. And he hits you with a small amount of Mulus, but a lot faster. And sometimes it catches players off guard, but I really do hope to see pure mech from Puma, as that would be fantastic, because it would actually do really well against the style we're seeing, very Ling heavy from Rhett. Blue Flame and kind of mech units overall are going to be so good, splash damage as well, so we'll see. Though he has added on a tech lab, will he again lift up and build another factory there, or will he just continue to be Marines and just add on stim or something?
Well, he's actually going to throw a Marauder in, which is an interesting twist, and that will, of course, serve him well if any roaches happen to come out from Rhett, but that's not really going to happen at the moment by the looks of it. We've now got all 4 gas taken. It does limit, as you pointed out, the number of mutas that can actually come in initially. Rhett's got this Magic Overlord here that might be able to get across and scout. Another base coming down for Puma, admittedly not quite as fast as we saw previously from him, and no sign yet of swapping over for the Blue Flame. He may do that if he builds 4, possibly 6, and another supply box actually by Puma, only for about 5 or 6 seconds, but it's kind of uncharacteristically sloppy from him.
Yeah, just a few little mistakes here from Puma, and maybe feeling a little bit nervous playing against a player like Rhett. But he's taking a third base, he's not going to go Blue Flame, he's researching stim now on that Barracks Tech Lab, and this could be a little bit awkward for him. He hasn't even started Marine production now. He's been building Marauders so far. He has 3 Marines in a bunker, but that's it. He's now slapped down 2 extra barracks. He will have stim out just in time for the Mutalists to arrive, but they could actually do a considerable amount of damage. There's no engineering bay down either, and we'll have to see how this goes down. He's throwing down a starport now with a reactor, so he's going to be jumping for medivacs pretty early, but I think these Mutalists are going to do a lot more damage than they would do in any usual game, due to the fact that he has no idea about it, and it may catch him off guard, the early Spire Surprise.
Yeah, the early Spire Surprise, a delicious recipe as created by Rhett, which contains just low-fat, low-calorie diet. It's wonderful, unless, of course, you're Terran, who, as it turns out, are allergic to it. I'm interested to see what Puma's doing here. He's building another reactor on that factory. I assume this is for a swap around, and he starts to move that barracks almost immediately. Does he do anything with this factory? Because we have seen Marine tank, but this is not what's coming from him at the moment.
Yeah, he's just going to go for pure bio with medivacs to begin with, and just establish a very heavy ground bio army and then once his third base is up, he can start the tank production very easily. But the Hellions are in a bit of a corner right now. They're going to get surrounded.
Wow. Nice catch right there by Ret. Very nice indeed. And doing significant damage as a result. Coming around the flank, he's going to do it again. He's going for a second catch. And unfortunately, they did get a little bit roasted, but another Hellion eliminated. And the early Spire surprise is in full effect. And you know what? Puma is not a fan of it.
Yeah, indeed. And he's going to get an Overlord 2 on the natural, by the looks of it too. He stims and just manages to pick it off.
Splat.
But he's prepared now. He's got turrets out. He's got double engineering bay working on 1-1. He can easily throw down an armory soon to go into 2-2. And the game goes on. I mean, both of them are kind of equal so far. The extra SCV production from that third command center did help out a lot. But he needs to start thinking about, when do I take my third base? If he tries to take it, Ret can start to run around with Mutalisks and cause a bit of a nuisance. But at the same time, Puma is actually going to be pushing here towards the third base, and understanding that this is the time Ret should be building drones towards that third base. Ret all of a sudden panics, throws down Bailings, and will he be able to hold on to this little push? It's not going to be with 1-1, and it's not going to be with combat shields either, so he should be fine.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is a little bit of an awkward timing for Puma, to the point where Puma might decide to turn around just like that. Say, you know what? This is probably not going to work. Maybe he waits for these to go, but if he does, that just gives Ret plenty of time to create the force needed to eliminate it. And then, of course, we result in another counterattack. It is the map of run-bys, after all.
Indeed it is, but Red's in a very comfortable position right now. 74 drones, he's got a good map control presence now as he moves out, and especially with the new units he's made on that third base. But this is where it becomes difficult for Puma. He's going to try and take this third base, but Red by no means is going to make this easy. He's going to start jumping in straight there, he's going to pick off that turret easily, and in come the Mutas as well.
Yeah, might as well start picking away at that orbital command, forcing Puma, in fact, to pull back. There's the flanking position. He's got to be a little bit careful with those Mutalisks. The Lings come in to try and annihilate those Marines, and he's able to do so. And now going straight for the medevacs. He's in a great position to pick one off, and flanks around as well. Excellent Muta control right here by Ret. Very impressive. And a quick evacuation there to the bunker. Ret forced backwards once again, but he's picking Puma apart very, very slowly, and he's now at 80 drones comfortably, and his opponent has not been able to attack yet. We've got this medevac coming around the side for a drop. Does it get seen? Oh, it doesn't. Puma just darts back, I believe. I don't think that was spotted there by Ret.
No, I don't think it was. It was in slight vision of the Overlord, but it definitely wasn't looking at it, so that does go undetected. And the Mules are all the way on the left-hand side of the map now. If that medevac goes in shortly, it's going to pick up a lot of drone kills. And in come the Mutas to the natural. There's a single turret, and that is going to go down immediately.
Nowhere near enough. 25 Mutas, and do they have +1? I would love to tell you. Yes, they do. There you go. Well, that turret lasted all of 2 seconds, pretty much made of paper, and surprisingly enough, Ret decides to run away from a few Marines right here. Just doesn't want to take that damage, and then brings himself around again. He's willing to take a couple of losses to do yet more damage to this mineral line. He can even pick off a couple of Hellions. The drop is coming in the meantime to the side here, and now doing damage to the natural. Needs to bring Lings back immediately, pulls the drones off the line. Mining time has been wasted. The question is how much damage can be done.
Yeah, the Mutalisks is doing more, like 10 times more damage than that drop is actually achieved. The drop killed like 2 workers. This Mutal harassment here has killed 15 more, actually over to 18, and picking off units as well. Ret just commanding this game, making it look so easy.
Oh yeah, Ret is absolutely demolishing at the moment, and you know, he doesn't even care about those couple of Marines in the bunker. He smashes through the medevacs, he smashes through the front line. 45 SCVs is all that's left at this point. 23 workers killed already there by Ret. Surprisingly effective Mutalisk harassment. Oh my, here come the Lings. They want to get in on the party as well, and only a single Blue Flame Hellion to stop them? Not a chance. Here come the reinforcements, another one spawned, and Ret just deliberately putting his units on hold position. Banelings come crashing through as well, and oh, look at the supply. It's 55 to 171. This looks nigh and unstoppable right here. Ret looking to take it. The Banelings smash their way through the remainder of the defenses. The Lings swarm in. The tank and the Thor and everything you could imagine annihilated. GG, ladies and gentlemen. And Ret, his first ever tournament set of wins in a best of 3 against Puma, and what an amazing start for his tournament.
Yeah, his high aggression with low or mid-tier units so effective against what Puma had, and I just felt like Puma wasn't really prepared to play against Ret. Even though we said that both players should be preparing against each other, he just felt way underprepared. He wasn't ready to play against that style. What the hell were the Marauders for at the start? You know, they did absolutely nothing in this game. Maybe he was expecting some form of aggression early on with Roach and Lane, because that is how a lot of Terran players have been playing recently, and especially against Puma, but that's not what happened here, and Ret just cruises through straight up to that 75 draw mark and never lets go with that unit production.
Yeah, you can't make assumptions against a player of the caliber of Ret. Absolutely not. As you said, the Marauders didn't make a lot of sense, and maybe with that early lair you could be going for some kind of early speed Roach, but it's not that great, really, when you think about it, especially when Ret's been playing so well with straight-up Mutaling. And even on a map where, as you pointed out, Mutalisks are awkward, Ret used them more effectively in that game than I've seen from him in a very long time. Incredibly powerful performance from the Team Liquid player.
Absolutely, and he takes a very important win going into this Group A. Very important win, and that sets up his run for the rest of the group nicely, even though it's not going to be easy. It's a very nice start. Puma, on the other hand, has definitely got an uphill battle to climb if he wants to advance through and to secure that top 2 position.
Yeah, he's got a lot of struggling to do against a lot of very high-quality players. Ladies and gentlemen, you are currently watching the IronSquid Group A, and you've just seen Ret take out Puma 2-1. Our next game that's going to be coming up after this short commercial break is going to be perhaps even more crazy. One of the few Protoss in this tournament will be facing off against the Emperor himself. It is TvZ versus Boxer coming up right after this break. Do not go anywhere. You will regret it if you do. Stay glued to that seat. We will be right back.